I want to ask about my vision with regards to getting glasses this year. I used to have clear vision, and I recognize after what you've been saying this morning that I'm not vibrationally in alignment with who I've become, and that I guess I'm not a cooperative component with what I'm seeing.
Well, anytime, let's start in a very important place. Every manifestation, and they're all around you all the time, every manifestation is an indication of vibration, yes?
Yes.
So once a manifestation occurs, it can be very helpful to just notice how this manifestation feels. What does the manifestation feel like? Because in identifying what it feels like, you can sometimes recognize that you've been feeling that quite a bit, and then you can figure out what subjects in your life have been making you feel like that quite a bit. In other words, it's an interesting thing because so many people, there are many people, and maybe even the majority of people in this room, who would say, as you move through time, there are just these normal things that are likely to happen to your physical body. A diminishment of well-being is just a sort of accepted thing.
No. Yeah.
Well, we're just saying that most people, especially if you hear it from the doctor, well, at your age, well, this is something that is a pretty normal thing to happen. We're just saying that in your society, there is an acceptance of your physical apparatus declining that is because of a basic misunderstanding of resistance. In other words, the only thing that causes a declining of what you want, think about what we've been talking about here today. Life is causing an expansion of you. Your life should be getting better and better, not diminishing. And so, but the reason that we don't want you to get defensive about this. The reason that we're putting it out here in this way, this is the point that we want you to hear. Almost everybody accepts as a tenet of their natural belief system that it is just sort of normal to decline. So much so that when it happens, they don't even focus something other. They just sort of accept, well, this is just the way that it is. And we don't think that there is a better opportunity. You're tired of us? We don't think that there is a better opportunity for understanding focus than as it regards something like your vision, because everything, now we are ringing a little too high, everything is about focus. Everything is about focus. Our favorite focusing story is when Jerry and Esther moved from Arizona to Texas. In order to get their driver's license, they had to go through the whole thing, which meant they had to have the eye examination. And when Esther looked into the machine, she said to the man, "It is broken," because she hadn't looked into one of those machines for a long time. They just kept renewing her license because they had never caught her doing anything wrong. She had a perfect driving record. And so she hadn't looked into one of those contraptions for a long time. And when she looked in, she couldn't read quite a bit of it. And so the man said, "Not a problem. Just go get your eyes examined, get some glasses, come back, and then you can take the exam again. And we'll take your picture with your glasses because you'll need your glasses to drive." And Esther said, I'm just sure that. And so she looked back into the machine and she said, "Abraham, can you read this?" And we said, "Of course," and read it all, and Esther passed. And we think that it's worth noting that they are the same eyes.
Yes.
It's the same eyes. It's just focusing through the eyes. Focusing with clarity, focusing with decision, focusing with understanding, focusing with knowing, or focusing other than that. In other words, but there is this acceptance that in other words, so many of you accept diminished capacity, and then so when it happens, you don't think that something's screwy. And there's always something screwy when there's diminished capacity. It's always about resistance. 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 We want you, it's always about resistance. And what resistance is, thinking the opposite thought of what is wanted. It's always about resistance. Now, there are books written. There are philosophies and physicians and science. There's all kinds of things that would say, no, that's all wrong. This is because of this, and this is because of this. And we say, at the heart of all diminishment is resistance. You wouldn't even know. Do you know that resistance could not even be a part of your experience if life didn't cause your expansion? You could be born, and if nothing made you become this, you'd never feel the tug at not becoming it. The only reason that existence can even exist anywhere in the universe is because you've expanded to something more. So don't you think it is an interesting thing that life caused you to expand, and you're not taking the expansion that now gives you evidence of diminishment? It's not diminishment. It's not keeping up with expansion.
Right.
And if you can look at it in that way, everything will turn around for you.
So I'm not keeping up with my...
So how does the thing that's going on with your vision, what does it make you feel? Give us the emotional description.
Frustrated.
More?
I'm angry.
All right. Now, beyond the emotional description, how does it negatively impact you? What goes on? You feel limited? You feel diminished?
I can't see what's right in front of me.
Well, we understand that that's really a good statement.
Yes.
I can't see what's right in front of me. I can't see what's right in front of me. That's meatier than one might think.
I've got clear vision way out there, but what's in front of me, and this is why I know I can't see
So say it again. Long view, crystal clear. Up close, all fuzzy.
Yeah.
Did you hear us say earlier today that when you step back and look at things with a more general view, it always clears up? And when you get in there nitpicking over the details, that's always where it trips you up?
Yes.
Next. In other words, you want to hit it so head on. Now you see, what happens is, so you've got a vibration going on and you don't know what's going on, but it's going on, and so you ignore it and don't do anything about it. In other words, Jerry and Esther had an experience just recently where when they looked at the details of something, it was so disturbing enough that they almost made a very big decision about a relationship with someone, and then ultimately didn't make it. But we encouraged Esther, especially, to step back and look from broader view. And when she stepped back, the enormity of the value was so enormous that all the resistance went away. It's when you zero in on a problem and wrestle with it. In other words, it falls into the category of no longer trying to control the uncontrollable. And so many of you are putting so much attention to so much detail and struggling so hard to control the uncontrollable that you hold yourself in a state of resistance. And in that resistance, you have diminished capacity on many levels, you see. Mm-hmm. So those were really good words. When we say, how does it affect you? You say, well, I can't see what's right in front of me. And then we want to ask the question, the obvious question that we sort of pointed out earlier. Have there been other experiences, or are there chronic things in your experience where you feel that frustration at not being able to see it clearly?
Well, I recognize that when I look back, I put out that I wanted to see the unseen, to see, i.e., what's in the vortex, to see what's in...
Do any of you see aura? What's the condition of this room? Is it conducive to it? Any of you see anything? So look at Esther. Now you're a bit close, but it should be fine for you. So as you look at Esther, rather than looking at her, try to look through her. Imagine something on her back or on the wall behind her. So if you're wearing glasses, you could take them off. Just sort of diffuse your focus and look in the direction of her with softer view than you usually do, looking at the wall directly behind her. And as you do, in your relaxed gaze, sometimes you are able to see the energy. And it's a bit like if there were a bright light shining on her that would make a very big shadow behind her. It's a bit like seeing a shadow behind her, but instead of a shadow, it's some light. So anybody getting a look at it? And we're going to goose it up just a little bit. If you're not seeing it, you're just trying too hard. Just relax. And some rooms are better than others. These curtains are not the best. Seeing it? Just relax and look. And then when she moves, sometimes you can see it standing there. Now, the purpose of the demonstration is in the softening of vision. In other words, people often say that they will see a ghost out of their peripheral vision. And the reason is because it's unfocused. So they're seeing things in the peripheral vision that they don't see in the focused vision. And the point that we're wanting to make with you is that you're like almost everyone as you focus specifically. Now, you see, the thing that's most interesting about this is that this conversation is not about what you're seeing with your eyes. This conversation is about resistance that is preventing you from being in the vortex. When we talk about clear vision, we're talking about being in the vortex. where you're tuned in to everything that you want. And if you're not tuned in, you can't see it. Esther lost one of her pins one time, a gold pin that she really wanted, and she looked for it for days and then weeks and finally just let go of it and ended up months later finding it in a handbag that she had searched dozens of times. Because you can't find what's lost. You can't see what you've convinced yourself you cannot see. And if you're vibrationally out of the vortex, you can't see what's in the vortex. You see, the thing that we want to convince you about is that you think that you are a flesh, blood, and bone being who has this physical apparatus that you're wanting to focus. And we want you to know that you're an energy being who, when you get yourself focused off point from who you really are, you can't see as well. So when you ask for clear vision, when you ask clear vision, meaning to see the non-physical, what you've been asking for this expansion of who you are. You're asking for the expansion, and when things happen and you don't allow yourself to keep that expansion, then you feel the discord of that's manifesting in what you're calling diminished capacity to see. It's not about your eyes, it's about vibration. Yes. If you could just that's a very good mantra to repeat for a while. It's not about that, it's about vibration. It's not about vision, it's not about what he's doing. It's about vibration. It's not about what I commonly want to make it about. It's about vibration. And I have complete control over the direction of my thought. Therefore, I have complete control over the relationship between the vibration of me and the vibration of who I really am. There are all kinds of situations in diminished light you don't see as well. You ask so much of your eyes. You look at computer screens and train your eyes in a specific way. In other words, you know how when someone opens the door and bright light shines in, Esther's eyes are dilated very large when she is allowing us to flow through her. And when someone opens the door or when we gaze in the direction of a bright light, it is an unsettling thing. In other words, your eyes are adjusting all the time. And in your environment where you're in and out, you're active in many ways, your eyes are doing a remarkable thing. So if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would give our physical eyes a break. We would call them tools that know what to do. And then we would say, and I'm going to assist my tools that know what to do, whether it's my digestive tract or my ability to see or whether it is my metabolism. I'm going to assist my physical apparatus in doing what it knows how to do by keeping myself, emotionally speaking, inside my vortex. Right. And because it's no funny coincidence that the clear view that you're seeking is represented by what's happening visually. Now, we can feel that's a little unsettling because you still are physical beings who have learned to accept physical realities. And here we are wanting to stretch you into the vortex where you have no good reason to accept any physical limitation. Do you know that? You have no good reason to accept any physical. You say, well, yes, I do. There's all this evidence. I have doctor's reports. My optometrist has said such and such or whatever. And we say, well, looking at what is and studying the criteria and the statistics of what is has nothing to do with what's in your vortex, and everything that you're living is about your relationship with your vortex. Let's see if we can find another way of saying it to you. So let's say there are two people that we are studying, and they're standing in a similar environment. And one is living extraordinary contrast and reaching, and therefore expanding, but still focused upon what is right here, right now. The other one, not exploring much contrast, sort of immune to it, not observing, and therefore not expanding, but still observing what is. So two people standing and observing the same situation, one of them tortured, and one of them not. Which one do you think feels more tortured?
The one asking.
The one who expanded. Because the one who expanded has, through expansion, created a bigger gap. That's why we say, it's just keeping up with you. Everything's about keeping up with you, you see. So that's why you can't measure yourself accurately against one another. You don't know who they are coming in. You don't know how contrast has affected them. You don't know what's in their escrow. You can't tell what, and yet your world of medicine, your world of statistics wants to measure the manifestation of where everyone is and make that out to be like scientific evidence. And we say it doesn't mean diddly squat. Right. Because until you're addressing the relationship between you and you, you're not talking about your life at all.